up guys, welcome back to Paint That Model. I'm going to be walking through a retro Blood Angels model that I painted up here. This is from the old school Battle of McCrag starter pack. You might remember this from a number of years ago. I've had this model since release, painted it up once in a very poor quality, so now I'm going to be repainting it again. We're going to be starting off with a black prime. We're going to be using the slap chop method on this guy here. We're going to be taking a dark gray, a medium to light gray, and then a white, dry brushing over the entirety of the model. Now what you see here is a kind of modified makeup brush that I used instead of buying an expensive dry brush that you see. It's just a way to save a little bit of money in the hobby. As you know, these things cost quite a bit of money, so it's an easy way to save a few dollars. And so yeah, like I said, this is just a makeup brush. I chopped the end off it so it's a little bit more flat right on the end. That's a little bit of a pro tip when you're using a makeup brush. Have a flatter end. And we're just going to be applying the dark gray. Any dark gray will do. It doesn't have to be from the Army Painter. Been using their new war paints lately and they seem very good. Now here you see the light gray going over the dark gray. We're going to be using less and less of it as we bring the color up. And basically what this is doing is creating contrast in our initial step, right? So the slap chop kind of comes from a very dark black in the recesses up to the lighter grays and whites as you hit the raised areas, or the areas which we want light to shine down on. Really is what it's doing. It's creating a lighting effect and creating some initial contrast that the speed paints and contrast paints, which is what we're going to be using later, can kind of flow over and show the transparency through them from the initial contrast that we've put in from the slap chop method here. So now we're going to be doing the whites. It's our final color for slap chop. Putting it over the whites, then you can kind of see this is only going on the raised areas. The lightest coating of the paints is going to be the whites. Getting it over all of the raised areas, put a little bit too much on there in my opinion, but that's okay. Happy mistakes. And a little bit of a extra tip here is between the slap chop method and applying your contrast or speed paints, you can put a coating of Satin Varnish on, which will help the speed paints flow over the surfaces into the recesses, just leaving a nice tint on the surfaces. So this is a red paint by the Army Painter here. We're going to be putting this over the entire body of the model, giving us a nice dark red. And as you can still see the slap chop through the red paint. And then really the speed paints or contrast paints will be making even more contrast, right? So that's what they're supposed to be able to achieve very well. Although you got to be careful putting it over large surfaces, right? They like details and different textures to paint, but the contrast and the speed paints don't act well on flat, large surfaces. So just keep in mind, you might want to use standard paints for that. And here you can see I made a bit of a mistake. Got some red paint on an area which I think should be a brownish color because it's his holster, so he's going to be a brown color on there. So what you're going to need to do, and you're going to need to act fairly quickly if you do this, you're going to be getting a wet brush and just mopping it up. You really want to kind of maneuver your brush into the area that you got the paint on it you don't want there, and with more water and drying it off and then soaking it up, you will be able to remove all of the color if you move quickly. And so that's what you can see me doing here, is I'm just kind of wetting the area and then mopping it up with a dry brush and repeating the method. And then continuing on to paint the rest of the model in the red color. Here we're going to be using some black paint, some black leech and contrast paint. That's what this is, but any black paint will work. And we're going to be hitting the accessories. So the bolter, the symbols, just the accessories to get a little bit of an accent color. Once that is done, you can see I used hardened leather for his holster and his pouches on his belt. I used, this isn't a speed paint, but this is a regular paint. I used ancient stone on the pommel of his handle and the cloth areas. Now we will be taking any silver paint and we're just going to be putting that on his face guard, his breathing apparatus. I'm not really sure what that is in the lore. I'm sure there's a person that will correct me. Let me know in the comments if you know what this is on his face, what it's called. Breathing apparatus, face guard, same thing. This is a really nice paint here. This is probably my favorite paint to use as a base color for skin tones, so keep that note. And this is using this as a base color, and then using one other color, which is Barbarian Flesh, to just do some highlighting over the face. And this is basically the base coated model. One thing I didn't show you was I used his blue paint on his right knee pad there. And here you can see the Barbarian Flesh, which I highlighted his head and face with. And that's just a quick, easy method to get the face and the head done, I think, with a good quality and relatively easy. So here we're going to be taking our kind of secret sauce. And I didn't make this stuff. I followed another YouTuber who had a YouTube video on how to make it, so refer to many of the YouTube videos online that'll show you how to make this combination of washes here. But it's basically a dark blackish brown wash that is a general purpose. You can use over everything. I was just trying it out in this area. I don't know if you can use it over everything really. It kind of depends. But it's a quick, easy wash that'll give contrast to a number of different surfaces and colors. And I think it turned out well. I was just kind of trying it at the time as an experiment. I just mixed it up myself here. Mainly consists of the Army Painter Dark Wash, Speed Paint Medium or Contrast Medium, and a little bit of Reikland Flesh Shade. So here, this is basically tabletop ready now. You know, you don't really have to do much. I think everything past this point is a bonus step, right? It's an additional step. You can use this guy on a tabletop if you really wanted to, or just display him. But I'm gonna go through some nice, fast, and easy methods to bring some highlighting into the situation here. So we're gonna be taking a nice dirty, well, not a dirty, an old dry brush, and we're just going to be dry brushing some gray onto the bolter, bringing out the surfaces. We're going to be dry brushing it on some other areas here, as you can see, but this can be done in a few seconds, and it'll really kind of maybe create a little bit of a wear and tear look on the items here. Using pure red for two things, which you can see here, the purity seals are going to be painted in pure red, just to keep it a little bit of a different, brighter color red than what we put on his base coat. And we're going to be also highlighting, or edge highlighting, most of the model with this pure red color. And you can see I'm just taking the edge of my brush and bringing it over the highest raised surfaces. You can see here, just providing a little bit more pop and contrast on a lot of the surfaces and the edges. So just by using the edge of your brush and a very little amount of paint, just dragging it across kind of on an angle sometimes, or as you can see here, just kind of applying it near the edge to create some additional highlights and contrasts. And that's pretty much it. This is the finished model. One thing that you can see I did add is some decals. So you can just put some decals on it, on his shoulder, and I put one on his knee. I think I put the skull on his knee, and then you're ready to go. This is the done model. So throw some varnish on it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, do all that good stuff.